Always an opportunity to teach, huh? It's good to see everybody. I'm glad to be home. I was away last week. I was in Baltimore, Maryland. I want you to know that when I am not here, I'm not always having a similar experience to what you have. Even though I'm often in a religious science community, they don't always do things just like we do. For example, I did an ordination last Friday night. And it was lovely, and the minister that was being ordained is a delightful colleague, and I was very honored to be there. We didn't meet where they normally have their Sunday meetings because they rent that and it wasn't available, so we met in a neighborhood Methodist church. Yeah, so it's a little different, you know, in the environment. So when I got up and began my part of the ordination ceremony, I said, "Hello, everyone." And then I turned around to the bigger-than-life picture of Jesus. I said, "Hello, Jesus." And explained to them that anytime I'm in the presence of an image of a tall, slender, Aryan-looking Jesus, I want to say hi. That's the way I work. And then, of course, Sunday morning we met at there was another community that I met with, and they meet in the basement of a dance school, which was fine. I mean, it was a lovely space. Just having a tap dance class above you. Next Saturday night I'll be in Seattle, where I'll be attending a full gospel choir experience on Saturday night. So, you know, there's all kinds of things to do in this movement. It's quite amazing. What I want to talk to you about, you want me to do it? Okay, you give me the first one. Don't think that I'm late. I know Thanksgiving was a few days ago, last week technically, right? And you couldn't get any further but by a couple of days of Thanksgiving again. How many of y'all had a good Thanksgiving? Good, good. None of you went to be with your families? Thanksgiving is a wonderful holiday. It reminds us of the experience of being grateful, and we kind of overdo it. On Thursday after we had our experience here, which was lovely, the gratitude circle and the meal, and Barbara and I got to bickering in the kitchen, I went home. And I checked my phone, and I had a lovely note from one of our directors, Judy Morley. Dr. Judy sent me a note saying that she was knowing that Barbara and I were having a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we were, actually. It was just a momentary thing. And so I texted not her, but her partner, another director. Yes, we have those issues in our organization. To ask him if she was actually sitting there texting all kinds of people with these gratitude notes, or was I special? And I got back a message from him that said, "No, you're special. Happy Thanksgiving." That made me feel good that it also caused me to sit down with my phone and start texting all these people and wishing them a happy Thanksgiving and thanking them for being in my life. And it was kind of fun. I had a good time with it. I felt good after I did that. And that caused me to want to go find Barbara and make peace. Our disagreement was over a washing machine. Get that? This is crazy. Anyway, so it was a wonderful Thanksgiving, and what occurred to me in the midst of all that was, let's have a conversation about how to take the best of something like Thanksgiving and keep it alive in our lives. And so I did my research. I have citations and academic papers to share with you today. It should be very exciting. First thing I want to do is I want to introduce you to the guru of American psychology on the topic of gratitude. His name is Dr. Robert Emmons. He works at UC Davis, and his expertise is in the area of gratitude. He's done a lot of studies. One of his most recent studies is called Counting Blessings versus Burdens, an experiential investigation of gratitude and subjective well-being in daily life. Isn't that exciting? Yeah. It was published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. And this I read to you from his abstract. The effect of a grateful outlook on psychological and physical well-being was examined in this study. There were 3 studies. The first 2 participants were randomly assigned to one of 3 experimental conditions to which they were instructed to keep a journal of experiences. The group number 1 was to keep a journal of their hassles, of everything that was going wrong in their life. The second was to keep a journal of everything they were grateful for in their lives. And the third was either neutral life events or social comparison, which I had to look up even though I have 2 degrees in psychology. It means personal worth based on how we stack up against others. And so that third group was the control group. That's the neutral group, where they could write really about anything. The first one obviously became deeply depressed. And then you had the gratitude and the control group. So there were these 2 studies. One, they kept a journal on a daily basis. The other one, in the second group, on a weekly basis. And then they had a third group, an interesting group of people with neuromuscular disease. And randomly assigned them to the groups. And then they studied the results that came from these groups, the information, and how they were perceiving their lives. Because they, in their writings, they wrote of, let's see, their moods, their coping behaviors, their health status, any physical symptoms, and overall life appraisals. That was all included in what they recorded from those perspectives. And what came out is that the group that was focused on gratitude, everything about their lives improved, pretty much everything. And they had this in writing. People start talking about how their lives are starting to work better. The control group, obviously, was pretty neutral on things, and nothing much changed. But what was surmised from these 3 groups is that it not only impacts your emotional, your affective behavior, but also your physical condition. They've actually looked at it, and coming from this, they've determined that although we've been taught that the best way to health is exercise and proper diet, it appears that being grateful actually does more good than either of those 2. How about that? This was Evan's closing assessment. Gratitude makes life freer, lighter, and easier. It empowers us to take control over our lives and not be at the whim of others or of circumstances. Sounds like something we talk about around here. I thought that was cool. So, how do we do this? Or let's look at some elements within this idea of being gratitude. So, the elements of gratitude. We're going to start with this idea that gratitude is a stress buster. Studying people who have been in stressful situations and are coping with a lot of stress in their lives isn't hard on everybody. Some people are good at coping with stress. Other people are not. But if you focus away from the thing that you're stressed about to something that you're grateful for, suddenly everything seems to change. They found that people who otherwise were experiencing issues with heart disease, cancer, claim responsibility, let me read this again. Stress is linked to several leading causes of death, including heart disease and cancer, and claims responsibility for up to 90% of all doctor visits. Stress, 90% of doctor visits. But when you apply the situation of gratitude, the element of gratitude to someone's life, things turn around. And what researchers are discovering is that when you have these feelings of gratitude and that positive attitude, that it seems to cause your daily problems to disappear. Go figure. Now, does that mean people who are grateful never have a problem? No, they just don't focus on it. They don't make that the central idea of their life. So if you're finding yourself being stressful, perhaps you want to think about what you're grateful for and move away from the idea of the thing that's stressing you. What a concept. Gratitude is an immune booster. This is a study from University of Utah, where in the study, researchers compared the immune systems of healthy first-year law students under stress at the point of their midterms. They broke them into 2 groups, those that seemed to be grateful for their lives and those that didn't. Who do you think got better grades? People who were grateful got better grades overall in their midterm exams. People who express gratitude also show a positive health impact when they had compromised health previously. In separate studies, patients confronting AIDS as well as those preparing to undergo surgery had better health outcomes when they maintain attitudes of gratitude. So it doesn't matter what level of physical malady you may be facing. If your intention is to be grateful for your life and to focus on those gratitudes, what shows up is a better life, not a bad plan. You know, and this probably is nothing we haven't talked about here, but I love it when I actually get it from the medical world, from people who are steeped in allopathic medicine, tell me that what we believe is so. I get excited. I do. Here's an interesting piece. Studies were done immediately after September 11, 2001. We all know what happened on that day. And what was found in 3,000 respondents to a survey on personal strength is that all had increases of expressions of gratitude in their life. After going through that trauma, it seems people have a tendency either to go into their fear or focus on what they have in their life that they're blessed by. And that the majority of people in that deep moment of crisis in this country turn to gratitude and use that gratitude to carry them through. So they did more studies and found that people who have difficult experiences early in their lives tend to be more grateful as they grow older, because that's their coping mechanism. And it's a great coping mechanism because it forces you to look at the things that please you. And it doesn't necessarily force you, but it gives you the opportunity to actually take the things that don't look so good in your life, the opportunity to go into them and find something to be grateful for. That thing called silver linings are real and have the same impact from an adversarial situation that a statement of gratitude, a feeling of gratitude would from a desired experience in your life. So it doesn't really matter. If you can find something in it to be grateful for, you get the same outcome in your body and in your life for being grateful. Doesn't matter what the incident is or the condition that you focused upon. It's how you respond to it, how you relate to it that makes a difference. And the final one of these is that apparently it's not about what you have that determines your gratitude. But that doesn't seem to make sense because we're grateful for what we have. But having more doesn't make you more grateful. Here's some of the statistics that were determined out of this. Genuine gratitude is not based out of what you have. This is according to Edward Denier, a professor of psychology at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. In his study, he found that people in India living in poverty report low levels of life satisfaction. Poor people in India are not happy. However, affluent people in Japan are equally not happy. So who's happy? What country in the world is considered the most grateful? Asheville's not a country. It's Ireland. Ireland is considered the most grateful country because they build it into their culture. They have a culture of gratitude, and they have some pretty good whiskey too. Forbes 400 richest people in America, billionaires and multimillionaires, were found to be generally just as happy as the average American. So you might as well give up on the idea that when you have millions of dollars, you'll be happy and be grateful. Be grateful now. You know, I had the opportunity before I came into ministry of working in public housing in the United States. I worked with groups of public housing residents really all over the country. We were in Chicago and Detroit and Washington and Miami and Los Angeles and Atlanta and a lot of other cities. And we built these community gardens. So I was working with residents all the time. Some of the happiest people I ever met, some of the most grateful people I ever met. Did they have much? No. But when I would come in and we would build gardens and they would be able to grow their own food, they were so grateful. They were so happy that I was there. It was just amazing. It's really not about what you've got, it's about what you do with what you've got. And the most important thing you can do with what you've got is be grateful. So these are some elements on what gratitude is and how it works. Let's talk about how we can cultivate gratitude in our lives. What would it take for us to actually be more grateful? Well, the easiest and most logical, well, one of the most logical, obviously, is to write it down. And that's not news to everybody, but there are different ways to write it down. Here's an interesting one. is to write letters of gratitude. I was texting, but I really think this idea of a letter is an amazing idea. This comes from a 2011 study of 200 relatively happy undergraduates at, let's see, at Kent State University in Ohio. A study done by Dr. Stephen Tropfer, an associate professor in the Department of Human Development and Family Studies. He found that when people wrote one meaningful letter of gratitude per week, taking them about 15, 20 minutes to write that letter, that they experienced significant gains in happiness and life satisfaction, and a decrease in symptoms of depression. One letter a week, one sincere, genuine statement of gratitude a week to somebody creates that kind of an outcome. I love that. So what else could you do? Well, there's the gratitude journal. Anybody here ever done a gratitude journal? There you go. You guys know about that. How many of you are still doing that journal? Okay, off and on, a hand goes up, I get that. Okay, so congratulations, that's wonderful. That is proven to be an excellent way. What does that do? People who keep gratitude journals on a weekly basis, meaning you only have to write in it once a week, you don't have to do it every day. But if you write in it once a week, you have fewer physical challenges, you feel better about your life as a whole, and you live longer.
Wow.
You live longer.
Excellent.
You know, obviously it's worth sticking around if you're happy and living a grateful life. Here's another idea, a blessing list. Now that's simply writing down every blessing you can think of in your life, everything you're blessed by. Now obviously you'll write them down and you won't get them all. So the idea is once a week go read the list and see what else goes on there and watch the list grow. That's actually kind of easy and worthwhile, because that review of that list obviously is going to remind you of all the great things that are going on in your life. And all you have to do to accomplish that, and I'm supposed to follow myself on this, we got the letter, we got the journal, and we've got the blessing list. There it is. So any of these actually create that element in your life as an ongoing basis, that you're finding and experiencing more gratitude because you're actually bringing activity to that idea in your life. What's the next one? Pay attention, easily said. Pay attention to what you're thinking and saying. That's the basis of who we are as in the science of mind, is to pay attention to what we're thinking and saying. However, when you're thinking of it in terms of how could I state that in a way that it demonstrates my gratitude, it kind of shifts a lot of things you might want to say. Now, I don't want to say that this is a panacea and that this is the only way to make it work, because even though studies suggest that complaining about one's problems is linked to depression and anxiety, it also says that if you don't have some kind of an outlet to vent in a controlled manner, that can be a problem too. So be grateful for your life, and when things get to you, have a safe place where you can kind of spew it for a few minutes and then let it go. The idea is not to suppress things that upset you. The idea is not to let them drive your life. So I guess I'll share this, Barbara. No, just that in my life I get to do that with you. I feel much better. But you can't stay there. And the idea of kind of getting it out and saying it, some safe place where it won't get thrown back at you, is that it gets out of your system and you don't have to think about it anymore. At least that's how it works for me. I'm an extrovert. I assume that works for most extroverts. I pray that it works for introverts, because there's no reason you should have to hold on to that stuff. But this idea of living this pristine life where you never have a judgment or a thought about anything at all is unreasonable. At the same time, you want most of your energy and effort to go into what you're grateful for. Get rid of that other stuff as quickly and efficiently as you can. And if it's spewing it out for a few minutes, do that. Just don't do it in public, because that will bite you back.
Yeah, right.
Grateful people also have a particular linguistic style. I love this. They talk about things like gifts and givers and blessings and fortune and abundance. That's the essence of what they talk about. Now, people that aren't so grateful tend to put their attention on what they don't have, how they deserve things they don't have, about their regrets, their lack, their need, their scarcity, and their loss. Which one do you want to go for? Let's do the blessings. Let's stay with blessings. What a concept. The trick is to watch what comes out of your mouth. And to use what Barbara has taught us so eloquently over time, is if something comes out of your mouth that you don't think serves you and the people around you, replace it immediately with another thought. A thought that does work. So if you get into one of those, don't stay there. Go, actually, the truth for me is, and then say what you're grateful for. And let that be what stands. Let that be what endures in your thinking. And let that other thing go. We got one more here on cultivating gratitude. Find God. I love this one. Because there are times in life when something just sucks. And that's all you can see, is that this is just wrong, this is bad, this does not help anything. How could we find God in this? Yet every time I look, when I'll take the time to get out of my stuff and look at what's there, there's always something. And what it always is my opportunity to know who I am. Because I find God at the point of need. So if something in my life is annoying me or aggravating me or causing me anxiety, it's in control. And what is it trying to tell me? It's trying to tell me to remember who I am. And when I remember who I am, it has absolutely no grip on me. And it doesn't matter. You know, I've been through some of those kind of things in the last couple of years. And what I have found is I remember who I am when I live from that place. And that I know that this thing that looks like the problem is really a disguised divinity in my life. And I get the message. It goes away. It's done its work. Whether it's a person or whether it's a circumstance. Once I get it, it goes away. Isn't that lovely? If it doesn't go away, then it's just neutralized and it doesn't bother me anymore. So it doesn't matter which of those occurs. The idea is that when we do our work, when we stay in that state of gratitude, we get the result in our lives again and again and again. Now, all of you did some good work on Thursday, I'm sure. You took some time and you expressed your gratitude. If nothing else, you sat quietly and thought about what was working in your life. I want to invite you this morning to practice that again, right now, to get a sense of what it is. So find someone that you can look at and speak to. And speak of something in your life that you're grateful for. And allow them the time to speak of something in their life that they're grateful for. Be their witness to that. So do that right now. We're going to do it for about a minute. About time to switch. Yeah. Okay, wrap it up. I know you could go on all day. Isn't that lovely? So who feels better at this moment that you did about 5 minutes ago? Okay. Well, you did. Thank you. Fantastic. So what if we just kept that up? What if we built our lives around that idea? There's one other bit of data that I want you to have, and that's that if you're not generally in a conscious way grateful for your life, Edmonds, the guy whose picture I showed you early on, says it takes about 3 weeks for the benefits to really start showing up. But when they do, they don't go away, because inside of 3 weeks, if you keep this up, it becomes a habit in your life. Right? So you feeling good about this?
Yes.
All right, I'll give you some closing thoughts, some quotations to think about this week. And I invite you in this also to make your personal commitment to yourself. You don't promise anybody else. Promise yourself that you will have a way of demonstrating gratitude in your life on an ongoing basis, and see if that doesn't bring something lovely into your everyday experience. Gratitude is a divine doorway to the fulfillment of your destiny. That's Michael Becker.
Yes.
The grateful heart opens the way to the flow and becomes an attracting force that draws itself great things. Eric Butterworth. There is something about the mental act of giving thanks that seems to carry the human mind far beyond the region of doubt into a clear atmosphere of faith and trust where all things are possible. Emily Cady. And the last one, when we express authentic gratitude for the conditions, circumstances, and relations of our lives, we open ourselves to more fully seeing the gifts of spirit that surround and permeate our every moment. Thank you all very much. God bless you. I love you. And I'm so deeply